In Nigeria, agriculture is not just a livelihood, it is a cornerstone of the economy, providing employment and sustenance to millions. Recognizing its significance, the government has taken several steps to support and empower farmers through various agricultural programs. These initiatives play a crucial role in driving sustainable growth and food security across the nation. The 2025 National Agricultural Extension Research Summit provides an exclusive global platform to meet and engage with experts in various fields. The theme of this year's summit is Sustainable Agricultural Extension Service Delivery in Nigeria, the role of digital technology. These and more will form the crux for the conversation on the program. Thanks for joining us. I'm Victoria Clinton, and welcome to Nigeria Today. With me in the studio for the conversation is Professor Garba Hamidu Sharubutu. He's Executive Secretary, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Nigerians.
Also with us is Professor Akeem Abolade Oyemdi. He's a Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Abuja. It's a pleasure to have you in Nigeria today.
Thank you. Good evening, Nigerians.
I'll start with you, Professor Garba. You were the keynote speaker on this summit.
Precisely.
Now, talk to us about this summit. What is it about this summit that can transform the agric sector in Nigeria?
To us, this is an important summit. Important in the sense that from the word go, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had made it at item 4 of his agricultural transformation program. The fact that he has to move agriculture and the knowledge impacted to farmers forward. And by so doing, there is a need for us to introduce more advanced method of reaching our populace, given the fact that extension has been a very, very serious problem in this country. Expert will tell you that one extension agent is to several thousands of farmers, which is definitely inadequate. And apart from that, we have come to realize the fact that as long as we do not meet the farmers where they are, it's going to be a problem. And all along, our extension platform has mainly been either training and visit, or maybe more of physical engagement. But we find out that more and more people are coming, into the practice of farming. And in the wisdom of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, together with his counterpart, the Honorable Minister of State, they decided we must introduce a new platform, and that is the electronic platform. The electronic platform will cover 3 basic targets: the individual, the group, as well as the mass population. So the engagement today is deliberately, first of all, to flag off the National Electronic Extension Platform in its soft copy, and then to allow experts from the universities, from the agricultural research institutes, as well as the private sector farmers and ADPs, to actually interrogate that platform for us to be able to have a good record and a good mechanism by which individual farmers, group farmers, as well as the mass of the farmers will have access to information in terms of input, information in terms of crop management, marketing, as well as weather and diseases.
Thank you very much. Professor Akeem, when you talk about agricultural services, quite a lot of persons would not really understand what that means. Now, talk to us about what the agricultural services are, and of course, what the challenges we have in the agricultural sector that actually calls for, a summit such as these.
Basically, the missing gap in Nigeria agricultural development has been the extension. And today, when the federal government, within the new drive by the New Hope agenda for agriculture by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there's a slight shift in the traditional way of handling the extension. So I became highly elated when I see that the government is now going into introducing information and communication technology into the advent of getting to the farmers. Because whether we like it or not, the aspect of electronic aspect of communication is the in thing globally in the world now. So we cannot be training, and we want the younger ones to go into agriculture without introducing, enticing them into agriculture with the norm. Most of our graduates now, most of our students in the university, all of them have app, all of them can develop a blog and a host of other things. So the best you can do to them is to operate within their own generation. That's why we call them the Gen Z's generation. So when the Ministry of Agriculture said, okay, we want to entice, we want inclusiveness in the practice of agriculture, we want the youth and we want the women to go there. So you cannot introduce the laborious cutlass and hoe to them. So the concept of agric extension, that the federal government now develop a app that we quickly get to all nooks and corners of the country, is the best, is the easiest way to communicate. There hardly will you go to any part of the nation now that you don't see people using Android, using smartphone, no matter how remote the place is. The issue of POS and a host of others shows that we can keep advancing for farmer to get improved information about the practice. Because for quite a long time, our farmers have been deficient in rightful information on the practice of whether livestock or crop production or forestry or fishery. So this new drive by the Department of Agric Extension in collaboration with the Ministry of Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is germane to getting highly competitive ideology that we make the brand of whosoever is practicing agriculture in Nigeria can quickly get linkages and access to all the agricultural value chain. The value chain starts from input to production to processing to storage to marketing. That's why we call it the farm to fork concept.
Okay.
So within that, if you now have your phone where you can reach your market, where you can get your input, that's the way to go.
Thank you very much, Professor Akeem. Now, back to you, Professor Garba. You know, as much as the Professor Akeem has mentioned, you know, some of these ways. However, you know, we all know that most of the farmers are in the rural areas. And, you know, before now, we have, or even presently, we have, you know, more of, I don't want to use the word, okay, let me call it what it is, uneducated farmers. And now we are talking of modern technology. Now, what are the practical ways this digital technology can enhance, you know, agric extension services in Nigeria? And how can these rural farmers have access to them?
I think we have to educate ourselves when we talk about the concept of digital technology. We're talking about your handset. We're talking about whether you call it Android or C phone or iPhone. We're also talking about the social media. We are also talking about the web. Now, if you put these three items into the practice of agriculture, you will find out that one way or the other, individuals, farmers will be able to have access to this information. The concept of educating our farmers, right from the colonial era, has always been through demonstration, farm visit, and these are more physical. To some extent, a little bit of electronics was also introduced, where in our various villages we have the Land Rover vehicle moving from one village to the other, gathering our people en masse and playing, you know, the cinema type of gadgets. Now, you can see that government has looked at it and found out that those systems of demonstrating key, practice of farming through this has become very, very useful. And so we are right now trying to modify the system by which we take that information from our technology incubation centers, where these technologies are developed, to the doorstep of the farmer. It is very expensive when you have one farmer to the expected maybe 200, one extension agent to the expected 200, 300 farmers. It's going to be very, very expensive. Technology has given us the wherewithal to now begin to reach the farmers by hand. By your handset, by the web. And you find out that, just like Prof said, you are trying to attract the younger ones. And these younger ones, either as students or as civil society organization or journalists, or whatever profession is, uses this handset, uses the social media, they are in the web. And so, if you actually allow them to have access to that, it entices the typical farmer. So the nook and crannies, there is virtually no village you will go now that you will not find somebody that at its own level that is used to some of these minor gadgets. So government wants to reach out. Government also wants to make sure they strengthen the media in terms of television, in terms of radio, for them to be able to reach out. And the easiest way by which you are going to reach our farmers is to say, hey, get on to the radio, make sure that they reach the nooks and crannies, and they'll be able to listen. But this platform that has been launched today is a platform that encompasses all the necessary information that you need. So it is now not you talking to a human being. It is you talking to your handset, to your television, to your screen, to your computer if you have. And all information regarding agriculture is loaded. You have the platform capturing the market. You have the platform capturing the weather condition, the soil health. You have the weather mentioning to you where to get your seed, how to improve your yield, at what time. Once the information you require is known to you, you open up the platform and then click on where you need that information, and it will pop out. And once it pops out, you will be able to see what item you need. And the good thing with this platform is it has been designed in such a way that languages, the 4 common languages, are carried along. Apart from English, you also even have broken English. You have Yoruba.
Which is Pidgin English.
Pidgin English. You have Yoruba, you have Hausa, you have Igbo. So whichever of these languages you understand.
The major Nigerian languages.
Yes.
Okay.
You click, and once you click on that language, the whole platform will turn for you into that language so that you'll be able to read and understand.
Thank you very much.
So we are bringing in education. We are bringing in knowledge.
Okay.
We are easing the sources of information. And I can tell you this. The likelihood of making mistake by this platform is not there, because my intellect as a professor may be different from the intellect of somebody that has just finished a diploma.
Okay.
So this one has all been harmonized into one for you to have access to information.
Thank you very much, Prof. Now, Professor Akeem, talking about technology, we are in the era of artificial intelligence, AI. Now, what is the role of artificial intelligence, the AI, in enhancing agricultural productivity?
I would love to start with we are underestimating our farmers, because the way we are presenting them as novice. There's a difference between Western education and education. Majority of our farmers are highly educated. In 2013, we did a research in FCT, on pesticide plants that the Gbagi people are using. We were shocked that we had 38 different plants that they are using to protect their crops. That is indigenous to them. But because people believe it's only speaking English that is education. No, there are indigenous education. So the question you were asking me about advancements in technology, hardly will you go to a village and you see a Fulani man that doesn't have a radio. So in terms of communication, this app, this new development platform has taken care of communication. Let me give you this example. If you go to ATM and you put your ATM in the bank, it will ask you choose your language. It will even give you the local language for you to choose. So, and the same set of people that we are claiming, the farmers that we are claiming they are illiterates, are using that. So I don't want us to look down on them and underestimate them. They have what we call indigenous knowledge.
No, we are not.
And countries like
we are not underestimating them, Prof.
Countries like China, Japan, and a host of others developed, India and a host of others developed with their native language, and they developed their. I want us to buttress that home, and that is what the ministry is capitalizing on now, and that's why they interpret the new concept that you are talking about now, whether AI or no AI, is not the issue. The issue is that this platform now, if you want to plant maize, we give you how do you buy the maize, which seed do you buy. Instead of planting grain, you get the maize from which source. When you leave that one, how do you manage the maize so that it will grow? When do you apply fertilizer? At what time? At what rate? And you know, religiously, if you follow that, you'll be able to compete favorably with all producers of the same maize throughout the world. Now you'll be able to produce about 5 tons per hectare, between 5 and 7 tons. So the major thing, because when you talk about AI, the AI is just an advancement over ChatGPT, software development. This, what the ministry has been able to do now is a concept of an advancement within technology, which is, you can still link it to AI.
Exactly. That was
what I'm saying is, for us to think that our people cannot interact and cannot use AI, we are still living in the old generation.
Prof, we are not saying that they cannot interact. You know, what we're only pointing out that some of these farmers are in the rural areas, and of course, you know, they like you know,
as a consultant,
yes,
I'm always in the most interior with them. You know, what I've understand is that that's why I said majority of our people underestimate the quality of knowledge those people have. Most of the time, there was a time I go to a place, they call it Goin. It's around 4 kilometers after Dobi.
But Prof,
what we saw with them.
Sorry, Prof. Just sorry to cut you there. But before,
if I have a good understanding,
before you come in, as much as we want to say that, okay, we don't want to underestimate this farmer, but there are still some that do not have access to some of these facilities. There are areas that we don't even have the internet. These are the areas I'm talking about. How can they have access to some of these?
Okay.
You see, just like I said, if I understood your first question to Prof, you are trying to talk about the place of artificial intelligence in relating to our farmers. Now, we are not going out strictly to begin to put up advanced information beyond the capacity of our people. We are not putting up a platform that will begin to manufacture status in order to tell our farmers this is where to go. Eventually, if you don't take time, you go in and scare them. This is something that is established within the framework of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And there are regulatory mechanisms to make sure that the basic principles of extension is carried and built into the system. For example, what is the interest of the farmer in that community? What is their social status? What are their ages? How do they adapt to this technology? And then what is the level of their education? Because learning must start where your education is. So there is a multiplicity of techniques that is going to be applied. There are people that have access to television. There are people that have access to radio. There are people that have access to their cell phone. So what the government is trying to do is to encourage people to look at those endowments that are available within the area and the level of knowledge at which they are, and plow in the system for them to be able to benefit. That is principally what we are doing with the digital technology. Like I said, we do not intend to go beyond the knowledge of an individual.
Okay.
I cannot go and ask a primary school child to write a PhD thesis. So these are the basic things. So a lot of consideration has been given to this. This is not a platform that started just yesterday. It has taken them precisely not less than 1 year, 6 months to build the concept, build this. We had series of workshops in order to interrogate. And now we brought in all our agricultural research institutions to look at, from the rudimentary point of view, what is their various experiences from their various contact farmers. And these are all the things that are loaded into the system.
Thank you very much,
for us
Prof.
to be able to convince our farmers. Remember one thing.
Thank you very much. I will have to stop here so that Professor Hakeem will tell us. Now, with the introduction of this platform, what do we expect to see, say, in the next 5 years?
You know, what I appreciate most about this platform is that it's interactive. There's a feedback mechanism where if the farmer has a problem and it prompts on that app, there will be either response immediately, or some of the people within the extension cloud within the ministry will respond later. So that is a problem solving mechanism. And with that, because Prof in ARCN has a radio station, has a television station. Majority of the farmer follows that. So within that concept, what we are saying is to provide solution and hand-on experience and on solution to our farmer to solve their problem. The farmer that is in Kaura Namuda does not need to come to Abuja to get information. If he has a medium where he can access this, there are pictorial forms that will show you how do you do the mechanism of what you do on the field. So within that is in the next 5 years, that, as you have asked, we will now have new set of farmers that are doing good agricultural practice that we call GAP. And with that, we will now have escalation of productivity.
And of course, food security is sure.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, can you just in 30 seconds?
What you want, what you expect? You see, the reform of the president.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, the reform of the president is now coming to the agricultural sector in terms of having a new thinking altogether. It may be the dictate of the president, it may be the innovation of the honorable ministers, but we as the implementers of this system, we are assuring you that once we take off, agricultural production will be completely transformed with this system. And let me tell you why I'm saying that.
And when is it likely to take off?
People.
When is it likely to take
In
off?
the next 6 months,
Okay.
we must have been already running at a straight level.
Okay. And what's the name of this platform?
What I want to tell you here is this, that a lot of our farmers have been losing out. A good number of farmers, retired civil servants, they always get their gratuity and go to the farm. After 1 or 2 years, it fails. That is because of extension.
Thank you very much, Prof.
And so, if
Thank
we
you very
get this
much,
system
Prof.
running, I can assure you that there will be total transformation of our farming system. And then what do you expect? more food,
production.
food security.
Thank you very much,
And
Prof.
economic sustainability.
Thank you very much, Professor Garba Hamidu Sharubutu is the Executive Secretary, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria. Thank you so much for that insightful contribution.
Thank you very
And
much.
also we have Professor Hakeem Abola Deoyerinde, the Dean Faculty of Agriculture, University of Abuja. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for
You
your
didn't
time
tell,
and your
didn't
contribution.
tell me he's my boss.
You just said that now. And thank you for being part of the program. Remember, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I'm Ikaria Clinton. Goodbye.